Hey everybody, it's me, Jose Segura, your SMEA president. Welcome to another episode of Fireside Chat with the president. All right, now today's Sunday, the 24th of April, so we are heading into our 7th week of school closure, your 6th week of distance teaching and learning. And I know it's probably seemed like a lifetime for a lot of us. Things have just really been moving super quickly, and I really just want to just acknowledge the level of effort and commitment that you have all had to not only educating the students of the Santa Maria Valley, but also continuing to stay connected to them, connected to their families, and connected to each other. So some really great stories on local media about that. If you haven't had a chance to watch those, please look them up. KDSBY just ran a segment just recently, and it's really about folks coming together and finding ways to stay connected with students and stay connected with each other at the same time, because that's super important, right? I got to tell you, I don't know if you know this or not, but my wife's a teacher. She teaches kinder in a neighboring district. And when this whole school closure thing first started, she's a kinder teacher. She wasn't used to integrating technology into the classroom to any extensive level, right? There was some technology, but really was to augment a lot of the in-classroom teaching that she does. And so she was really concerned, didn't know what to do, really upset about making this transition and not having any of the tools to be able to do that. Her district was not tech heavy when it came to investing in it district wide. Sure, there were pockets of teachers who were really tech savvy, but it wasn't something that was really provided for district wide. And so her arc of being self-taught in this time of school closure has just been phenomenal. And I look at her and where she was several weeks ago to where she is now, and I just have to believe that a lot of our folks out there have really made that same kind of transition. Staying up late, investing time in learning these new platforms, communicating with grade levels and departments, trying to figure out how to best utilize these tools in order to move forward with our students, and also making strives to connect with students. And so, and I look at the progress that my wife has made, and it's just been phenomenal. And not only did she go from being worried and concerned and her feeling like she had no skills that she could apply to this distance teaching, but now she's at the other end of that arc where now she is assisting other teachers and becoming a mentor in a way that she never thought she would, right? A technology mentor, an online teaching mentor, and something she felt like was outside of her wheelhouse, and now she's in it to win it. And so what I see in her is what I feel like the rest of you all have been doing and are doing and continue to do, and I just think that's amazing. And so, just wanted to make sure that I took a moment to acknowledge the level of commitment, the amount of work that you all are doing, and not only supporting your students but supporting each other and your school communities as well. And so, the next part of what I wanted to really quickly run down is, well, now that we are home, and we've been home for, like I said, we're going into our 7th week of staying at home, and if you're like me, you're working all day and you're just nonstop, and you have your family life on top of your work life, on top of your relationship life, and it's just all kind of piled up. And so when you get some time to yourself, what do you do at that time? And for me, it's watching TV. I love movies. I love documentaries. I just really always have. And so I tend to stay up late, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because I want to have a few hours of my day where I feel normal, even if that has to start at 11 o'clock at night. I need that for me. And so here are a few things that I've been watching that I'm going to recommend for anybody who's watching this. So my first one is a show called Queer Eye. Queer Eye is over on Netflix. Queer Eye used to be a network program, a cable program. It was called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. It ran for several years and then kind of just disappeared. And then it got reconstituted over at Netflix as a show that's just called Queer Eye. I think they got rid of the straight guy part because they don't just focus on straight guys as being the subjects of each show. It's essentially a makeover show, right? It's clothes, it's cooking, it's home, it's personal hygiene, and it's also about you as a person and personal growth. And the team they have together now, the 5 gentlemen, they call them the Fab Five, they are just amazing, hilarious, interesting dudes with really interesting backgrounds. And they really turned the show from a makeover show into a human interest show. I challenge anyone to watch an episode of this and not laugh and cry and cheer, sometimes simultaneously, for both the person who is the subject of the show, but also for the Fab Five and their personal stories and their personal messages. It's a great show. I recommend it to anyone. So we go from Netflix over to Amazon Prime. On Amazon Prime, there's a show called The Expanse. The Expanse is a sci-fi show. It takes place in outer space and on Earth in about 200 years in the future from now. It's an amazing show. It's used to be on Sci-Fi Network. I ran there for 3 years. Great production value, great casting, great writing, and really just great storylines. It's kind of got a bit of a soap opera type environment to it because there is a lot of that back and forth, but also within the context of world-saving and universe-saving scenarios that our main characters have to go through. Main characters form this very unlikely group as a family, and who do all the things that families normally do. They support, they fight, they move apart, they come back together, and really it's just a really great show. The Expanse moved to Amazon Prime last year, so this 4th season is actually a Prime produced season. So what's great about that is not only does this great writing continue, but the production value is kicked up, and also the number of F-bombs per episode have also kicked up. So you might want to, I don't know if it's suitable for all ages with that, but once it moved to Amazon Prime, they took some liberties, but they were able to kind of expand some of the graphic language a little bit, especially with one or two of the main characters. But The Expanse, it's a science fiction, space odyssey type show. Really great, love it. Every episode ends on a really great cliffhanger. It makes you want to pull up that next episode. Now that there's 4 seasons you can watch, you can sit and binge this. That's The Expanse. The next show I have is called McMillions. McMillions is on HBO. It's a documentary about the McDonald's Monopoly game scam that occurred a while back when Monopoly first came on board as a game for Monopoly. The premise of this 6-episode documentary is that the big winners, the $1 million winners, the $500,000 winners, those people didn't win by random. They were actually selected, and it goes through this whole process of going through the investigation of how a tip to the FBI turned into this massive investigation that covered multiple states and involved dozens of people who were defrauding McDonald's and really defrauding you and I, right? The McDonald's customers who went in getting our game pieces, believing that we had an opportunity to win big money through these games. And in fact, the big money game pieces were being distributed to specific people, and how those people were all connected to each other. Great documentary. I know, Tiger King is getting a lot of attention, but really, for me, McMillions is a much more interesting documentary. It got some very interesting twists up to the very last minutes of the last episode. So, McMillions on HBO. And the last one I have for you is on Hulu. Hulu has this really great series called Castle Rock. Castle Rock has 2 seasons completed, so you can binge both of those. Castle Rock essentially takes the worlds that are created by writer Stephen King and uses those worlds as a basis for creating a brand new show or brand new content. So Castle Rock is the name of a town that appears in several of Stephen King's stories. Also things like the Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption takes place at Shawshank Penitentiary. Well, Shawshank Penitentiary just happens to be not too far from Castle Rock. And so there's a lot of these world building area or places and locations that exist in different Stephen King novels. And what the writers of Castle Rock have done is they pulled these into one new universe where some of his existing characters live. So if you watch season two has Annie, who was the main character in Misery, the movie Misery. Well, Misery takes place when Annie's older, but Annie appears in season 2 as a much younger version of herself. So you kind of get a sense of what brought her to that place when Stephen King finally writes Misery. And so there's just little things like that. It's super interesting. It's not horror in the sense that it's not a horror story. It's really just very interesting, very technical. You got to watch. You got to keep track of what's going on. You don't have to be a huge Stephen King fan to know what's happening. You just have to be a big fan of mystery and a big fan of good writing and good production and just amazing acting. So that is Castle Rock on Hulu. All right, those are 4 things that I've watched or are watching that I recommend. Take a look if you get a chance. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.